Yes, guys, how is it all going? Okay, so happy holiday season, depending on what month or when you're watching this. If you're watching this shortly after the upload time, then we're in December, and we are about just over a month since our last show of the season, which I'll go into in a minute. But I'm going to make this short and sweet. We've got a season recap video right here, so let's get into it. Okay, so where things all started. I started prep in about February with my guy Josh. I started in February, wanted a nice sort of slow build up to the first show, which if I recall was in around July sort of time, and we picked up the gold at PCA Murcia in the junior class, which actually happened to be my last junior sort of competition, because as things are with the age, it's going to be 24 midway through the season, and PCA, their rules are to be a junior, you've got to be 23 and under, whereas other federations are under 23. So we thought this is going to be the last hurrah in juniors, and we absolutely smashed it. We had a small class, and it was a class of 4 of us, but the class was stacked. I mean, everyone had their own sort of like pros and cons, you know, and it just came down to balance on the day. You know, the strengths of the guys on stage, they were huge strengths, obviously. Shout out to the guys if you're watching this. So you had Comran, he come in at second, obviously peeled to the bone, and I knew that I had to come in pretty lean to stand next to him and bring that balance to secure the win. But gave me a good run for my money on my first show. Nice wake up call there. And then you had Harry and you had Jack in there as well. And these lads, obviously you got Harry, who had the sort of classic looking physique, and then you had Jack, who's pretty huge guy, ball and mass. So he was bringing that open look to the stage. So everyone had their own strengths to each other. It was just sort of a case about who's going to bring that balance the best. And I feel like we nailed it on the day. Peak was pretty good, and things all went to plan, and it was a really good start to the season. So couldn't complain about that. It's my first show for PCA as well. So happy days with all of that. All right, so we're going to go second show of the season, and this one for me didn't go to plan. I mean, you don't want to end up coming fourth. I mean, if you're used to being number one all the time without sounding big-headed, coming fourth is going to be a bit of a shock to the system. I mean, it was our first showing in a men's category, so we got put into the men's middleweights, if I remember correctly. So I went up against Dan and Alex and Will. That was our top 4 alongside me. Feel like on the day there's a couple of things that sort of didn't go to plan. Mind wasn't really in check for some reasons. A few things building up to it that on the day did sort of put me off a bit, and my mind was elsewhere. I mean, there's a part which is my own doing. I mean, after the PCA, which is sort of glad it happened in a way, the way that show fell. I did binge. I think it was being on such a strict diet and doing so much cardio building up to it, it did sort of make my mindset in the place of I've got a bit of time to eat now, and I just went over the top, and I shouldn't have done. You know, that's my own doing, and you know, that's done now. You know, going forward, we know not to make them mistakes again. And I mean, if you're watching this as a teen or a junior, and you're sort of thinking of binging after a show, if you've got other shows later in the year, it's not a wise decision. I mean, you can have one big meal with foods that you're used to in prep, but a bigger amount, and then after that, you've got to get straight back to it. I mean, I had 2 days, and to to sort of get back to where I was. I know you're going to think 2 days, that's going to go right through you, right? But it does mess with your body, it messes with your hormones, messes with your hunger hormones, all that sort of stuff. So it's not a wise decision. Just see the season out, and then you can enjoy yourself in the off season. So that's all to say about that one. That's one of them ones where whatever's happened, and you can't turn back time, but what you can do is make things better for the future, and that's what we did. So we picked up silver in the UK DFBA, Heart of England, and this was a tough class. You know, I went against Alex and Dan that I'd already faced at the Southern, and they end up coming the top two, if I remember correctly. So this was 4 weeks after our Southern event. So the Heart of England, we got put into two classes, Class A, Class B, aka short and tall. And I went against Dan, Alex, Ethan, who'd won the BMBF Northern prior to that. Yeah, and end up picking up the silver. You know, lost against Dan again, but what can you do? You know, Dan's a legend in the natural sport, so shout out to you if you're watching, bro. So to beat Alex and Ethan, Alex had obviously got the better of me at the Southern, and I made a great mate with him. And then Ethan, who's such a sound guy, you can follow him on Instagram, Ethan Kavanagh. He's a top guy. Really humble, and he's easy to get on with. He's an awesome coach as well. Got the better of them on the day. I feel like it was one of them shows where it's just like the comeback show. You know, we'd whatever's happened in the last one, and then we got things up and running, and we started up with Keefe. So Chris West, if I haven't mentioned you already, Keefe took me on after the Southern, made changes. Cardio was put down. The diet got changed, which helped and worked in my favour. My body was more used to them sort of foods, it turned out. And it was a total different sort of like approach to it. Didn't train for 3 days prior to show. Let the body recover, and refilled me up. And then we had a linear load. And then on the day we took it steady. So that was awesome. Felt totally at ease that show. Glad I came over second. It was a big relief off my shoulders. The fact that I had sort of like put my mark back on the game. You know, I had a blip, and then I was back on it, let's say. So that was wicked. Enjoyed my time up there at UK DFBA, my UK DFBA debut. And yeah, let's go on to the next one. Okay, so the next one, we picked up silver again. So with the silver again, it was a case of, oh god, I come second in the UK DFBA, and this time round I thought, you know what, we got that confidence back, let's go for gold, let's just get it, come on. And I came up against Anthony in the middleweights over at BMBF, and the class was stacked. It was an awesome standard. Anthony Campbell Jr., big love, bro, because you've helped motivate me this season, you know, coming up against you, sort of learning a few tips and tricks backstage, having a few chats. So yeah, we picked up the silver against Anthony. This was a tough showing, because I knew Anthony would have me on the poses such as the more aesthetic ones, right? So the abs and thighs, back double bi. He's got years of training on me. He's been competing for quite a while, if I've got that right. And yeah, it was an honour to stand up next to him, because when you're going against guys that are that bit older than you, you can sort of like bounce off them, you know, being such a... I'm not young anymore, but I'm still in that bracket. It's almost like still being a junior in a men's class. So you're constantly learning off these guys that you go against. So to do that is something that I'll always keep like close to my heart. The fact that these little things that people don't see backstage, just learning off them, and it meant a lot to sort of like, even though it wasn't a win, to keep proving that I am in the men's classes and I am in that top 2 bracket. You know, that goes a long way. in terms of keep going forward and pushing. But furthermore, if we move on to the UK DFBA International, we picked up the gold. We got it. We finally did it in a men's class. This show, it was Olympia weekend for one. And this weekend, everything just went to plan. Meals digested really well. I was with my family. The show was a breeze. Got tanned by A1. Big shout out to Nicola. Much love. Everything just went to plan. I was at ease on stage. I had a good chat with the guys. I went up against Dan again. And going up against Dan, I knew it was going to be a really tough competition because he's already beat me twice in the season, right? So going up against him, I knew it was going to be a really tough battle. But for this one, I just felt pumped. I was on it. We peaked so well. Best peak that I'd ever had. I arguably think that was probably my best look to date. That show, everything was just ticking. Keith was like, wow, you know, you just look at ease, you look ready. You know, he was firing me up. The Olympia weekend stream, watching that the night before, was firing me up. And yeah, it all went to plan. It was great. The UK DFBA vibe was wicked. Went against Rue, who's in the novice class for the other shows that he did. He got the bronze, and to think that's his first season is scary because the potential is off the roof with Rue, and he's a super sound guy as well. And obviously you had Dan in second, and then you had me picking up the dub. So yeah, that moment for me was like things did get emotional. You know, to get that dub in the men's class, it was like, yes, I've made my mark here and I belong here. You know, it's not just one of them ones where you do your junior seasons and you smash them and then you get to a men's class and things are totally different. I sort of said to myself, I'm here now and I belong here. So that solidified it. So I'm so happy with that. And then a few weeks went by, and then we got off to Germany for the DFAC final. So I qualified for the DFAC Worlds, which is part of BNBF's brand as their Worlds. She's got like ANBF and BNBF and all them sort of shows in the Europes that qualify you for DFAC Worlds. So we got chucked into men's middleweights, and I faced Anthony and Stefan. So Anthony already faced at BNBF, and it was a shock to me that I managed to pick up the silver, and Anthony came in third. So that just shown each show we just get better and better, and stand next to these guys at such a high standard and do so well definitely gives you more motivation rather than you thinking, oh, I'm going to step off the gas and, you know, all of that sort of business. So coming in second, and then Stefan, who came in first, he ended up winning his pro card. So he got a DFAC pro card at that show, so he won the whole show. So if you're going to lose to anyone, you lose to the guy who's won it. So well done, bro, and honestly, you look amazing. It was a weird one, this show, you know. It was my first show without having family there, right? So mentally the night before, it was a bit like, you know, giving family calls and all that. It didn't feel the same, but I thought, you know what, I'm here now. Let's get on stage, just show everyone. Family were tuning in on the live stream, so they were there in a sense. I had my peers, my other athletes there. I had Dan. If I haven't mentioned, Dan is called Dan Sutcliffe on Instagram already. He'd helped me pump up backstage. You got Liam from HR Labs, who I was having a chat with, and he just said, look, just be at ease, bro. You got Keith, who was there as a pro on the day, so he helped me out, sort of like mentally, just stayed on top of things. Alex Tasangi, who I'd faced prior in the season, right, I've already talked about that, but we were having chats. You know, we get on so well, and this is another thing, when you get on so well with your peers in the sport, there's a small selection of you, but, you know, you've got to make the most of those around you, right? And we all understand what we're doing here. We've all sacrificed sort of the majority of the year to to get on stage in terms of the social aspect and going out for food and all that sort of stuff. So we all respect each other, and it's yeah, it's really humbling to sort of like have those people around you. You know, it keeps you grounded. So that DFAC show picked up the silver there. So at a world standard, if you're picking up silver, you're pretty good, right? And obviously Stefan won his pro card, so it's one of them ones. If Stefan hadn't have shown up, we might have just got it. But yeah, it was awesome show, really well production. Like the production was awesome, big stage and all that, and I recommend anyone to do it. So if you're looking to compete in actual shows, I competed with UK DFBA, compete with BNBF. They're awesome brands, right? Okay, so the last one, the big one. Oh man, wow. You know, it's one of them ones where I had to wait a while for this to sink in. This was like such a huge milestone in my life that I'd ticked off, like bucket list moment. So become a natural pro. It's something that I set out for myself at the start of the year. You know, I said I really want to do this. I want to become a natural pro. Now I realised how tough it was in the men's classes, and then it was like, this is going to be a big ask here. You know, if I don't come away with it, it is what it is. You know, I set myself high standards because you have to in this sport. Because if you don't, you ain't going to push yourself. But yeah, it was at the Natural Universe men's short class. So obviously you're facing guys from around the world. You're in Hungary. The whole event is massive. You've got a massive Tron behind you. I'll show you. There should be videos on the screen right now as I go through them. For these last two shows, I just tried to get footage I could. Hence the late posting on them, because we were trying to get phone footage and all that because we couldn't bring videographers out. But yeah, this show, it was crazy. It was my first experience with the INBA, competing abroad in Budapest, and it was unreal. So we picked up the big man, the trophy. It sort of looks like a Viking in a way, and we got ourselves the gold medal, which is quite sort of like different really to the other ones that I've got. This is in like a square. It's got Hungarian writing. You probably can't see it from there, but it's got a Natural Universe 2024 Pro and Amateur on it. So we picked up our pro card there. We didn't have a routine for this show due to the amount of athletes in it. So it's straight into prejudging and then finals. And to be fair, like to come away with a win, like the Natural Universe, the Europeans, right? So that was just like, wow. You know, I did get emotional when I come off stage because it was like, this is the biggest show that I've ever done, and I come away with the result I wanted. So to just do that was like, wow, I couldn't believe it. And it made me realise like the future's really bright. You know, if you're doing this at this age and you're facing guys that have sort of, you know, they got years on you, and it's no excuse as a younger athlete to sort of say they should be beating me, but to come away with the result I wanted at that level is like, I can go far on this. It's not even coming from a place of being big-headed. I know what I can offer. So it's only the start of the journey. You know, we got the gold, and things are exciting. It's one of them ones where words will never sort of like describe how it all went down and how we sort of like felt. We've got the cat behind the camera, by the way. Jet, what are you doing, bro? Come here. Come here. It's one of the 6, by the way. He'll probably be on the screen in a minute. There we are. Cool. But yeah, what's next for me? Off season for the time being. To tell you right now, I'm not sure. You know, potentially competing at the end of 2025 as a pro, doing a few shows with a shorter prep, or we just go again in 2026. But main aim is get Christmas out of the way, and then we reevaluate. We have a bit of time out, training hard right now, enjoying training, and things are on the up. So it's time out, but it isn't. It's about putting the building blocks in place now. So anyways, I tried to keep it as short as I could. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Leave a like, drop a comment, and give a cheeky sub, because we're going to get a few things going this off season. We're going to try and do collabs, maybe a few eating challenges, change it up a little bit, but it's all going to be based around training sort of thing and how we're developing. Okay, so yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed, and I will catch you on the next one.